Hey everyone, Nigel and Luke here, and welcome to another edition of Crimes of the Week International. Before we get to today's video, we're excited to announce that our official Patreon page is now live. Patrons will receive exclusive extended editions of each one of our Crimes of the Week and Crimes of the Week International videos. So if you want even more crime news coverage, head over to patreon.com/crimezone.
This week, authorities in the Australian state of Victoria announced that they had recently seized a record-breaking quantity of heroin concealed in a shipment of ceramic tiles at the Port of Melbourne. According to reports, the 450-kilogram haul is the largest onshore bust of its kind in the country's history and would have had an estimated street value of 140 million Australian dollars, or roughly 104 million US. The illegal shipment came from Malaysia and was bound for a local business in Melbourne. It was discovered on September 29th, and since then, several other locations in Victoria have also been raided. Investigators from the Australian Federal Police say that the seizure was a joint operation between them, the Australian Border Force, and the Royal Malaysia Police. They also say that a Malaysian man has been charged in connection with the crime for the import and attempted possession of a commercial quantity of a border-controlled drug. If convicted, the man could face a sentence of up to life in prison.
If you're a regular viewer of our Crimes of the Week International series, you might know that in the past few months we've covered a couple of daring burglaries at high-rise apartment buildings. In those cases, criminals were able to scale the buildings by making use of temporary construction scaffolding on the sides of the towers to aid in their heists. However, this week, it's believed that a thief in Hong Kong found another way. According to reports, the burglary took place on the night of October 20th, in the affluent mid-levels residential area of Hong Kong. It happened at the 20-story Conway Mansion building, in the home of a senior executive at an American investment bank and his 34-year-old wife. At some point between when the wife left around 6:30 p.m. and when she and her husband returned just over 3 hours later, police say that an unknown suspect scaled the drain pipe at the side of the building, climbing a staggering 17 stories and gaining access to the couple's home through an unlocked window. Once the burglar had stolen an estimated 450,000 Hong Kong dollars, or roughly $58,000 US, worth of cash and valuables, it's believed that they shimmied back down the way they came. Supposedly, they gained access to the high-rise housing estate via a small hole in a chain-link fence hidden between the building and an adjacent hillside. Authorities scoured the area after the crime was discovered, but no arrests have so far been made. At the time of this recording, police say that they are reviewing surveillance footage from the area to see if they can uncover any clues as to the culprit's identity.
The fate of 17 Christian missionaries is uncertain this week after they were kidnapped by an infamous gang in Haiti and held for ransom. According to reports, the kidnapping took place on October 16th, shortly after the group left an orphanage. Their bus was seized by armed gang members on a main road in the town of Gontier, east of the capital of Port-au-Prince. At this time, it's unclear where the missionaries have been taken, but it's believed that they are captives of the notorious 400 Mawozo gang. The organization is known for these kinds of kidnappings, and it is said that they control the territory where the missionaries were abducted. The group of victims consists of 5 men, 7 women, and 5 children, all of whom are affiliated with the Ohio-based nonprofit missionary organization Christian Aid Ministries. The organization supplies Haitian children with shelter, food, and clothing. The missionaries are all U.S. citizens, with the exception of one who is Canadian. Though kidnapping is an ongoing problem in Haiti, this year has been particularly bad, as armed groups struggle for control of the country in the wake of the assassination of President Jovenel Moïse in July. At the time of this recording, it's unclear what concrete steps are being taken to ensure the missionaries are released. A total of $17 million has been demanded for their safe return. However, the United States has a policy against paying ransoms. Currently, representatives have said they are willing to negotiate with the gang members, but are not willing to pay the ransom. The situation is ongoing.
Authorities in Japan's Fukuoka prefecture say that a 51-year-old man has been arrested on suspicion of stealing a police patrol car this week, after he was allegedly left unattended in the back seat. According to reports, the incident began when Kazunari Amimoto was driving along the Kyushu Expressway in Miyama around 4 a.m. on October 14th, and his van ran out of gas. Amimoto got out of the van and began walking along the expressway, until at some point he was spotted by another driver who called 110 to report his presence there. Soon, an unmarked police patrol car responded to the report and stopped Amimoto, asking him to wait in the back seat. However, after Amimoto got inside, officers left him alone with the engine running and the car's emergency light on, while they got out to keep traffic moving. That's apparently when the man decided to seize his opportunity and hopped into the front of the car and drove away. According to Japanese media, Amimoto made it about 20 kilometers before he was stopped by another patrol car and arrested. When questioned by police about what he had done, Amimoto gave an amusing response, saying that he took the patrol vehicle because he simply wanted to go home. It remains unclear why he thought taking the police car was his best chance of doing this. However, reports state that he was unemployed, so perhaps he simply had no money for gas. Either way, it sounds like it might be a little while before Amimoto is finally able to complete his journey home.
Representatives from the Seoul Metropolitan Police Cybercrimes Unit say that 4 people have been arrested this week after they were accused of installing hidden cameras in the rooms of an entire motel and filming guests there. According to reports, the suspects carried out their disturbing crime for months at the hotel and used the resulting footage to try and blackmail those who had been filmed. However, police say the criminals failed to extort any money out of their victims. While authorities have so far declined to comment about how the hidden cameras were installed, a local newspaper in Yongpyong County where the crime happened reported that the suspects bribed a motel employee to install the tiny cameras on the monitors of the computers in each room while he cleaned them. Apparently, these kinds of crimes are an ongoing problem in South Korea, where perpetrators have been routinely caught installing hidden cameras in bathrooms, change rooms, and other spaces in order to blackmail victims or sell the resulting footage to illegal websites. The National Police Agency say that authorities have investigated nearly 30,000 cases related to hidden cameras over the past 5 years.
A worker at a high-rise condominium in Thailand reportedly got the scare of his life this week when someone allegedly cut the safety rope of his climbing equipment while he was suspended more than 24 stories in the air. According to reports, the incident took place around noon on October 12th at the 32-story Lumpini condo building in Nonthaburi. It began when the man, who has been identified only as a Burmese national named Song, descended from the top of the high-rise with 2 other workers to fix a crack on the building's exterior. However, around the 30th floor, Song started to feel something strange. The rope was getting heavier. It was at this point that he looked down, only to watch in terror as a pair of hands reached out and cut his safety rope from beneath him. He was now left dangling in the air, with no way to get down. Terrified, Song began to knock on windows, trying to alert residents of the building that he needed help. Thankfully, he was eventually able to grab onto the balcony of the 26th floor, whose occupants helped him to crawl over and inside. Though no stranger to working at great heights, Song was reportedly shaking by the time he made it to safety. Based on statements he was able to give to police, as well as those from other witnesses, authorities were able to zero in on a suspect, a 34-year-old woman who is said to live on the 21st floor. Police say that they are currently trying to link her to the crime using DNA evidence, but that they are confident they already have more than enough to charge her with criminal damage, as well as attempted murder. At this time, no explanation has been given as to why the woman allegedly committed the crime, but authorities say that it was definitely done intentionally. All residents of the building were provided with plenty of advance notice that work was being done, so the presence of ropes and workers could not have been a surprise.
Authorities in Essex, England say that a man has been arrested and charged this week following the terrifying and shocking murder of a politician. According to reports, the attack took place around noon on October 15th while Conservative MP Sir David Amess was in the middle of holding meetings with his constituents. It's said that the 69-year-old member of Parliament for Southend West was repeatedly stabbed by a man at Belfair's Methodist Church in Leigh-on-Sea shortly after walking inside. The man emerged from a small group of waiting constituents and began the brutal attack. Though emergency workers reportedly arrived on the scene within minutes, it soon became clear to terrified onlookers that things were not going well, as paramedics worked on Amos for over 2 hours without getting him on the way to the hospital. An air ambulance arrived shortly after 2 p.m. to move him, but sadly, he was pronounced dead within the hour. At the same time that the emergency workers were desperately trying to save Amos's life, police managed to arrest the suspect allegedly behind the attack, a 25-year-old man named Ali Harbi Ali. Ali is said to be a British-born man of Somali heritage who was taken into custody at the scene of the crime and in possession of the murder weapon. Ali has since been charged with murder as well as preparation of terrorist acts, as it was soon determined that the crime had both religious and ideological motivations. At the current time, police believe that Ali acted alone and say that they are not seeking anyone else in connection with the killing. Metropolitan Police say that they're now working with Parliament's security team and the Home Office to review protection protocols for members of Parliament.
Authorities in the Indian state of Kerala announced that the disturbing case of a man who murdered his wife with a venomous snake has finally come to an end this week, culminating in a rare double life sentence for the now convicted killer. According to reports, the whole story began roughly 3 years ago, when a then 25-year-old Suraj Kumar met a woman named Uthra through a marriage broker. Uthra suffered from learning disabilities, but she came from a much wealthier family than Suraj, which led him to agree to marry her. Upon tying the knot, Suraj received a dowry of gold from Uthra's parents worth about $32,000, along with about $5,300 in cash. A further 8,000 rupees, or about $107 a month, was provided by Uthra's parents every month so that Suraj could, quote, look after their daughter. Whether it was obvious to Uthra's parents that Suraj was only in the marriage for the money is unclear, but what appears to be true is that they never expected that he would actively try to harm her. No suspicions were raised, therefore, when in March of last year, Uthra was seriously injured by a bite to her leg from a highly venomous Russell's viper. After all, snake bites are common in this part of India, and this particular breed of snake is reportedly responsible for hundreds of deaths in the country each year. Uthra was hospitalized for 52 days, during which she needed 3 painful surgeries to her injured leg. After that, she returned to her parents' home to further recover. What no one knew, however, is that the Russell's viper responsible for the attack had actually been specifically purchased by Suraj a month before, and this wasn't even the first time he had tried to get it to bite his wife. Immediately after purchasing the snake, he had taken it home and released it on the landing of the second floor, after which he asked Uthra to go upstairs. However, the snake merely coiled up and sat there. For Suraj's second attempt, he laced his wife's food with sedatives, then released the viper into their bedroom while she slept, leading to her hospitalization. However, because Uthra had not actually died, Suraj decided that he now needed to take drastic measures. He returned to the snake dealer he had purchased the viper from that April, this time purchasing a spectacled cobra, one of the most venomous snakes in the world. In May, while Uthra was recovering at her parents' house, Suraj showed up with the snake packed into a container, and just like last time, he secretly fed his wife sedatives. Upon removing the deadly snake, Suraj ran into the same problems as he had with his first attempt on his wife's life. Though he repeatedly dropped the cobra onto her, it didn't want to attack, and simply slithered away to a corner of the room to hide. Out of desperation, Suraj picked up the reptile by its hood and forced its head onto Uthra's forearm, finally provoking it to bite her twice. Sadly, by the time Uthra's parents noticed anything was wrong, it was too late. She was dead. However, when Uthra was taken to the hospital this time, it didn't take long for doctors to realize that something wasn't right. They found the puncture wounds on her arm and also noticed the sedatives in her system, and at the behest of her parents, called the police. It turned out that Siraj was not terribly good at covering his tracks, and a 78-day investigation conducted by authorities would reveal all of the details described above, as well as other things, such as that Siraj had extensively researched poisonous snakes online and watched YouTube videos about them to help with his crime. According to reports, Siraj was planning to take as much money as he could from his wife's family, then, after her death, marry another woman. His rare double life sentence reflects the despicable and chillingly sinister nature of his crime, for which authorities say he never showed any remorse. That brings us to the end of this edition of Crimes of the Week International. If you're a fan of the new series, don't forget to tell us in the comments section below. While you're there, make sure to subscribe to Crime Zone for more true crime content like this, making sure to hit the notification bell to stay up to date with our latest videos. Thank you for watching.